Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Quintessence of Leadership. And I am delighted and excited today to have a dear sister friend and fellow fighter that is on this call with me today, or on this conversation with me today, should I say, the beautiful April Frazier Camara. Welcome, April.
Oh, it's so great to be here with you, be in conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited. And so, what we're doing, so if you see April, just look to the side. She's waiting for this to come up on LinkedIn, right? So that she can share it with her community as well. So, she's not being rude, she's being very present. She's actually sharing the love. And while, because there's a little delay in our conversation and then with what comes up on LinkedIn, but in that moment, I want to share with you a little bit about her bio. And a lot of times I don't necessarily read the bio, I'll take pieces of it, but I just believe for a time such as this, it is so important that I share components of April's bio so that it will level set the conversation. So April serves as president and CEO of NLADA. She has been, and April, please tell me what NLADA stands for.
Absolutely. National Legal Aid and Defender Association. So,
Wonderful.
all of those civil legal aid and public defenders across the country.
So you all hear that's a very big role. She has been a champion for equal justice for 2 decades, a graduate of Howard Law School. Come on, Bison.
HU.
She worked as a public defender in her hometown of Memphis, Tennessee, and at the Public Defender Services, PDS, for the District of Columbia before joining NLADA. So, what I want you to understand is April is a fighter. She fights in so many ways. She's all about social justice, equity, equality, inclusivity, and voices being heard and honored. And I just love that about her. And she has led the adoption. Ooh, come on. She has led the adoption of the important ABA policy on race equity and prosecution, raising the age for juvenile prosecutions, reparations, abolition of private prisons. Come on, April, and other complex criminal legal issues. So, this woman that stands before you or sits before you today is truly the GOAT. She is someone that I look up to. I am just honored every time that we are able to have a conversation. And I will tell you, this woman is very busy. She's very busy advocating, opening doors, closing doors where they need to be closed, and really lifting as she leads. So, April, before we begin, is there anything else you'd like to share? I mean, just about who you are, what you stand for, and what you're moving towards in this season.
Sure. I think a lot of titles may be in there, but there are a few things that have grounded me throughout my professional journey. I would absolutely say community. It is
Mm,
something that drives me. And you mentioned the notion of equity.
yeah.
Before I understood the meaning of the word, it was just, even as a child, it just didn't sit right with me if I saw
Mm,
someone mistreated. And so
mhm.
I think the issues of equity and community are two values that really has driven my entire career.
Yeah. And it's so funny because, like, I have a girlfriend who's a physician. She knew she always wanted to be a physician from childhood. Was being so I can hear the values of protecting the rights of others and making sure equity and equality are implemented. Did you always know you wanted to be an attorney?
It's funny. Actually, I think around the age of 8,
Okay.
I decided I wanted to be one. It was from watching Eyes on the Prize. Remember, it was a big thing. People take it for granted, like access to that type of
Yeah.
knowledge. But back
Yeah.
then, it was only during Black History Month you would see Eyes on
Mm.
the Prize, and my father would bring us home, and it was almost like going to the movies. And I was mesmerized by people like Thurgood Marshall and Charles Hamilton Houston, the story, but I
Yeah.
don't think I could quite understand the legal technicalities of a brief or
Mm.
legal arguments. But I think the thing that moved me was how they use the law as a tool for social change. And that is what drove me to want to become an attorney and to go to Howard Law School. I lived out a dream. Like at the age of 8, I said I wanted to go to Howard Law School. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm very grateful.
And that is so beautiful, and I love that because I did not know what I wanted to be. I thought I did, but I didn't know what I wanted to be. And so, individuals such as yourself who are so selfless in their service, right? Because moving into this legal aid aspect of law, right? You could have gone all kinds of ways, right? You could have been a private equity attorney. There's so many different things that you could have chosen that would have, for lack of a better term, been easier, right? I know it's still a hard road, but it would have been easier, not so forward facing, not so so you have to grind for what you do. I mean, you got to work, and you are really, sometimes you have to kick indoors, for lack of a better term. And so do you think seeing like Thurgood Marshall like operate in his gifting, that kind of what do you think was the catalyst for moving into this type of law?
Yeah, I think I absolutely was fascinated with the civil rights
Mhm,
movement
mhm,
and how they paired it with
mhm,
the community and the organizers like Martin Luther King and others. So I think it was this fascination of doing it in partnership with community.
wow.
And as I think about the different paths that I could have taken and going to law school, I think the thing that always resonated to me is that I wanted to help communities like my own. It was um, this notion that injustice could take place and nothing happened or people would get away with it just based on your zip code or your race or your
Mm,
income. It really bothered me. So even my focus has always been on racial equity, but I'm from a small town, so my the same passion comes through if I see any community that's
mm,
marginalized, any community that's underserved or disadvantaged. That same feeling in my gut
yeah.
comes alive. And I was reflecting this morning because I do a lot of gratitude. I am very grateful that I
Mm,
have always been able to do work that I believe in. And I know it's a privilege.
yes.
And I feel very honored
Mm,
that I have been able to commit my entire life to things that I really truly believe in.
yes. And you see the fruits of that labor, right? I know you've seen it. And I know in recent times, though, we're seeing a reverse, right, of so many of the things that have been put into place for this same equity that you're talking about, this same justice, the same marginalization. And I think that we would be doing our listeners a disservice if we didn't have a conversation about that, right? It would almost be like we're trying to skate around the hard topics, and that's not what we're here to do. Leadership is messy, it's raw, it's hard, um, and it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the weak. And so, as we are operating in this space now, April, there's a lot of this is a storm. This is a
This
storm.
is a storm. Yep.
So, so first, let me just ask you one question first, then I'll ask you my second question. What are things that individuals can do? Because sometimes you can feel so hopeless and helpless with what we're seeing happening throughout the United States government at this time, being tolerated, that we know should not be tolerated, has never been tolerated. And had another president been doing some of these things, it would have been a very different outcome. What are the things that we can be doing as individuals to make sure our voices are heard, make sure that we are part of the solution? Because I really believe the solution is going to come from boots on the ground, regular folk like myself and you and those in our communities.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think it's a few things that really guide me in this moment. We know each other personally, so the upbringing, I'm
Mm,
very grateful of how I
mm,
was raised, specifically by a father who had, he instilled in me this concept that there are certain things in your life that you fight for that you may
mm,
never see in your lifetime, and that's okay, right? So specifically, I want to speak to African Americans. We have to understand our history. We
mm.
also have to understand our assignment.
Yeah.
So I'm very clear on my assignment.
Yes.
My assignment around fighting for equity and justice and making America hold a mirror up to itself around who we are and whether the
Mm,
values that we proclaim actually have meaning. That is
mm.
my assignment. That is
Yeah.
not going to change.
Yeah.
Now, I am of a lineage of people who fought for many things that many times you may not live to, some people say, enjoy the fruits of your own labor. I'm fighting
Yeah.
for generations to come. So
Yeah.
you have to be very clear of understanding who you are and where you come from. I'm also of a lineage where I am a product of miracles, right? There
Mm,
are things in this cycle called America that if you put it on paper, it would have never made sense.
mhm.
And so, as a person of faith, I understand that there are factors beyond my control that
Yeah.
are at play, and I am standing on the
Mm,
prayers of my ancestors, and I
mm,
will continue to stand on those prayers.
yeah.
So, understanding that in your who you are is
Mm,
key. And I
yeah.
think the second thing is that when you are doing this work, it cannot be because you are focused on a short term gain. We
Yeah.
would there you have to be able to sustain your hope and
Yeah.
your belief despite what you see. And I
Mhm.
absolutely, when I say I don't waver on the fact that we will win, I
Mm,
know it's more good in this world than evil. I
yes.
know it's more people who believe the things that I believe around equity and humanity and justice, and
Yeah.
not just in America, but around the world. I know that. So, regardless of what the media shows me, regardless of what the court decisions show, I that we will win. Now, can
Yeah.
I tell you when? Can I tell you exactly what moment? No, it is beyond my control. But I think, understanding who you are, being very clear on your assignment, and then you never relent on your belief that you will win. And that's how we and our ancestors have always sustained ourselves during
Yeah.
times like this.
Yes. I'm hearing that relentlessness, right, in your spirit. I feel it. It's coming through. And I appreciate this conversation. And I want to just level set something that April said here that I think sometimes we can waver on is we defer to what our physical eyes see and not defer to what our spiritual eyes, mind, and heart know to be true. So any of my listeners who are operate from a space of faith, as April was saying,
Mhm.
we have to remember it's not always what you see in the physical. She was so eloquent in how she was talking about miracles and how things we've seen miracles, in the past we've seen so many things happen that we just say, how did that happen? Sometimes it's just miraculous. And so it's really standing on that. I love what you said, just standing on that, knowing that we will win. And you're unwavering in that wisdom, in that knowledge, and in that promise. So you
Yeah.
stand on it. Yeah.
And Alicia, I think that's really the leadership journey,
Yeah.
right? As leaders, you get to really figure out who you are. For any leader who is leading an organization, um, you really find out who you are. To me, it is one of the most reflective
Mm.
roles, similar to maybe parenting,
Yeah.
where
Right.
there's this constant reflection. But in these moments, you also get to determine what type of leader you are. What do I really believe?
Yes.
in challenging times, you have to really examine what you truly believe. And one thing I share with my community is that I know from my own lived experience that in the broken places, you
Mm,
find out who you are.
mhm.
America is very broken right now.
Yes,
And
yes.
we get to find out who we really are. And guess what? It's parts of who you really are. It may not be pretty.
Right. Ooh, I love
And
that.
it's work to do, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
work. If anybody has gone on a healing journey, if you've journeyed through grief, you
yes,
know that there is work, there is pain in recognizing and being honest about who you are. And I
yeah,
think nobody can dispute at this point that America is broken.
yeah.
Nobody.
No.
The question is, we're broken.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Question is, who are we going to become?
Mm. And who are you, not just who are you, listener? Who are you going to become? And I love what you said too about, leadership is really reflective. It is. Good leadership is reflective, and
Yeah.
it's accountable, and it's self-aware. And I always say to individuals, be clear on a company that you're saying yes to, because you're saying yes to their mission, their values, how they show up in community or how they don't show up in the community, all of the things. But it starts from the top. It is tone at the top. That's what leadership is. But we're all leaders, no matter the title. The title is simply rented, right? The title is not who you are. That's not your identity. So getting that level of clarity as leaders, who am I? What am I standing for?
Exactly. And I just think it's so important. And you said it, leadership is not positional.
Mm-mm.
We all get to lead. And oftentimes, I recently shared, I gave a speech in May and I shared a, a person, my personal journey with grief and the
Yeah,
lessons I've learned. And a person came up to me and said later, it was I was so touched by your story. It was so inspiring.
yeah,
And I said, I didn't tell the story because I wanted to, point myself out as an exception. I
right.
told the story because we all have that story. We all have the opportunity to define who we are. And I
Mm,
think in this moment right now, for anybody to think that they can sit it out, for anybody to think that they can sit this one out is just not accurate.
yeah,
If we're going to move the needle
yes.
towards the world that we want to see, everybody has to do something. And let me just say this, you're going to have to do something that's going to cost you something, because that's where we are. So I'm not talking about I'm talking about, are you going to do something that's going to cost you something? Are you going to
Mm,
say something when it may mean that you don't get the renewed like, are you going to speak the truth? That's where we are right now, and I'm
yeah,
very clear with people, like, no, you're going to have to do something that's going to cost you something.
yes. Who are you aligning with? What rhetoric are you aligning with? Are you willing to possibly lose friends, right?
Mhm.
Colleagues, family, contracts?
Yes, we're running organizations right now where you will have to make difficult decisions around funders. You
Yes.
will have you are gonna have to. This is
It's very real. And I
it's
can tell
really
you,
real. It's
I'm living it. I had to make some decisions, and I'm a woman of faith too. So I believe that my decisions, although you know they cost me, I know, because I too believe, I'm a woman of faith. I know what's on the other side because I know we will win.
yeah,
So you're right. We are in a season. It's going to cost you something to stand.
yeah.
It's going to cost you something. Whatever you choose, it's going to
Mhm.
cost you. Whatever side you choose to fall on, whatever side of the fence, it's going to cost you something. But here's the good news. You said it too in the beginning about community, the power of your community, the power of connection, coming together. Can you talk a little bit about that community system that is so much a core value of yours? Yeah.
It, it really it you know, when I think about it, I chuckle
Mhm.
because I got my one friend Sabrina. She would tell you about how I was probably organizing like in the second grade. I want to say in the fourth grade, I organized my first protest because it was about the, you know, not enough time on the playground. So
Yes.
I've always been like a community organizer kind of person, influencing people to, you know.
Yeah.
But right now, this is the beautiful thing about community. We have everything we need in community. This is
Mm.
a season where you have to lean in, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because as we are talking about difficult decisions and you may have to make certain choices or whatever, their community has the resources that we all need to be able to survive. And oftentimes, it's untapped resources that we would have never explored if it wasn't for challenging times like this. And
My God.
so I just stand in awe. I was at my
Mm.
neighborhood association meeting and we were celebrating the life of one of our neighbors who, when I say she stood for community,
Mm.
and one of her favorite quotes was that if you don't know your neighbors, you need to get to know them.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
That's so important.
yeah. And if you're in community professionally, this is a time where our professional networks, and let me give people a tip, you know, some advice that I'm using personally. Just call and check on people and don't ask for anything.
Yes. Yes.
And for those of us we know who are leaders, you know, it is literally some of us really struggle with keeping up with text and phone calls because every phone call and every text is with a request.
Mm.
But what if we transform that? What if I just reach out to you and say, "Hey sis, how you doing?"
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, because that is another thing about where we are right now as a country. Everything should not be quid pro quo. What can you do for
Yes.
me and what can I do for you? That is
Mm.
not true community.
No.
And so just really leaning into these values around, like, I genuinely care about you. How are
Mm.
you doing?
Yes. Yes.
And those are, and I just call it just, you know, I'm a Southern girl. I say good home training. Just,
Yes.
you know, but just what does it mean to build authentic, deep
Mm.
relationships? And I
Mm.
promise you, and Alicia, I'm sure you can write a book about it. In
Yeah.
every season in my life, those relationships have been my most valuable gift.
I completely concur because I'm very relational. I am not transactional, and that has gotten me earlier in my career into trouble because I'm not just let me do this for you, you do this for me. Now I believe in reciprocity in relationship, right? There should not be someone taking all the
Yes.
time or giving all the time in romantic or platonic relationships.
Yes.
However, I was one of a kind. I was a unicorn in many of the circles that I flowed in because I would just check in with people. How are you doing? It was
Mhm.
so great to see. And people are just waiting for this ask, and there's no ask.
Mhm.
I'm just checking in. Then I'm going on to the next thing. And but like you said, we
Mhm.
need more of that. That's why community is so important. That's why choosing who you decide to be in community with is also so important as we are, April, we were talking about this as we're looking for our own peace in the storm, right?
Mhm.
Being in these conversations with people that warm our heart, that when we see a text message from them we smile, like when I see one from you I smile, right? Because we
Right.
check in, hey sis, how you doing? Okay, love you, and you know we go,
That's it.
got things to do, but it's just what we do.
Mhm.
And I appreciate you bringing that to the forefront because um, that is a tool that we can use and that really calms our brain too, right? It can calm the nervous system because it just is a reminder. Ah,
And
someone's
you
thinking about
and
me.
you know, we often as leaders we look to people who model. Like, there are people in my life that I just they have been so impactful, and
Mm,
I consider them really great leaders, and I learn from them. And when
yes.
I think of that list of people, all of them have one thing in common: they are good people.
Mm.
and they genuinely express care and concern for those around them.
Yes.
And I think, fundamentally that makes you a good leader, even with the teams that you lead,
Yes.
the spaces, just fundamentally, whether or not, and we all are growing, but to strive every single day to be a better person, to be a
Yeah.
good person, I
Yeah.
think and that is also a response to what is going on right now. Like, to
Mhm.
literally, for us to spread light and to spread and
Mm.
to show that in these moments you can still show up and be kind and
Yeah.
be, filled with light and to have joy. Um,
Yes.
and I understand that things are very uncertain. Oftentimes, we can't tell our teams what they want to hear,
Yes.
or we may have to make difficult decisions. But even in those moments, how we do it and how we treat those
Yes.
around us, it matters. People will, what is taking place right now, people will remember this for the rest of their lives. These are,
Absolutely.
yeah, but they'll also remember those moments of kindness
Yeah.
that were shown towards them.
Yes, and you are so right. It is really about, like you said, yes, we all have to make hard decisions now. We have to make choices, but it's always doing something with dignity in mind for the other person, helping to keep their dignity intact, not lashing out or doing something with malice, right? Just doing it by keeping the dignity of that individual intact because some decisions are beyond our control. It's just what has to happen. But how do we have those hard conversations, April, or make those hard decisions and then deliver it with dignity for the other, for the receiver, right? And how do we operate as leaders with in a space of self-awareness and
Yes.
accountability and integrity and high character at
Yeah.
all times?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I believe that's where the peace comes from for people, right? That's where the hope comes from for people that they see a different way because we're the demonstration of the different way. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I also think it's very important in this season for leaders to be well.
Mm,
I
yeah.
really truly think it's very important because when we show up, what
Mm,
energy we bring into the room, it
yes.
matters.
Yes.
We set the tone, we shape culture, we create or deny opportunities. And this is really a season where, for people, for leaders who really care about their impact, to really take serious your own wellness and make sure that you are pouring into yourself where you can maintain peace
Yes.
and calm
Yes.
and to remain centered.
Yeah.
Because I just think in very uncertain times, we cannot underestimate the impact that we are having on people's lives.
Yes.
I'm in the office meeting with my team. Like, it matters
Yes, April.
what energy I show up with. It matters. And so I just really want to encourage leaders to be taking care of themselves. If
Yeah.
you're not in community, I should not be talking to any leader in this moment. Is if you don't have a community that you can go um, to tackle challenges, to recharge, to examine things,
Right.
you are not only doing yourself a disservice, but also the organization and the work that you're leading. Because right
Mm.
now, being well is one of the most important things that we can do as leaders.
Yes. Oh, I love that. You're so right, right? Just taking care of our whole self. And it has been, unfortunately, I'm glad to see it. Fortunately, I'm seeing it rise up in importance, but still, unfortunately, not enough organizations or people are putting enough relevance on that. And to your point, just last week, a previous colleague, 40 years old, passed away of a heart attack. 40,
I'm telling you.
wife, children, he's gone. heart attack, stress. To your point, we have got to take care of ourselves. We've got to make sure we're filling our own cups and we're actually giving from the overflow, not our cup. It should be the overflow that we're giving from.
Yeah.
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 So I concur with you. I stand in agreement with you that community, if you don't have a community, find one, because the opportunity to be able to have conversations, to bounce things off of someone, to laugh, right? All of those things are so important in this season. So April, as we're wrapping, what I would love for you to just leave us, leave me, leave our audience, leave our listeners with a piece of wisdom that you utilize in your life. So think about something and leave us with a piece of wisdom.
Hmm. Um, so, Alicia, I do a lot of work around wellness and protecting our light.
Yes.
So, I think I'll just leave the community with what is guiding me in this moment is the notion that my success is measured based on my wellness,
Mm,
and joy is my birthright.
mm,
And I stand in awe of the power that we have to maintain peace in the
mhm.
midst of any storm.
Yeah.
And so I just, I literally I wake up every day thinking about what can I do to bring myself joy.
Mm,
And it is a priority. It is not something I get to later.
yeah.
And how very focused I am on being well. Because
Mm,
oftentimes I ask people, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I genuinely mean it.
right.
Genuinely mean it. And I think it's so important for us to check in on each other and see if people are doing well. Because
Yeah.
people, when they see the titles, you looked on LinkedIn, you see the
Right.
post. It means nothing
Come
if
on,
I'm
baby.
not well.
Come on.
Nothing. And one thing this is a revolution to dispel the myth that these titles mean something when you're not well. Success cannot be based on output, and people are operating in a way that they are not well. So
Mm,
I just, for me, it's like my
yeah.
focus on, I cannot be successful if I'm not well.
Yes. So I just want to level set this on, please, for those listening. Did you hear that April said she puts herself on her calendar first every day? Too many of us don't do that. She gets up. She doesn't say, I'm checking my email. I'm going to. No, 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 no. Did you hear what she said? I wake up in gratitude and joy. And how do I bring more of that into my life every day, in spite of what might be going on outside in the world? So I want us all to remember that we need to put ourselves on the calendar. We're so quick to put that meeting on the calendar, that conversation, that trip for business, but we don't put something on the calendar for ourselves, for our own wholeness, our wellness, our heart, our mind, our body, right? I said I want to do goat yoga. And people laugh at me, but I'm going to do goat yoga because it's going to bring me joy. But having little goats walking on me, April, to your point, like one day I said, I'm going to do goat yoga. So
I
yeah.
Yeah, I just have so many projects around, and to also know that we are full people. We have titles, but
Mm,
we're creatives, and
mm,
just I want to try new things. I want to experience the fullness of who I am, and
yeah,
so this is it's just a joy to be able to live in a way to
yeah,
allow yourself to experience the fullness of who you are. And
yeah.
I'm so excited to know people like you, Alicia, and to be on the
Mm,
journey together because I love community. So I
yes.
will be doing the goat yoga with you. So just
Okay, okay. Thank you.
know.
And Zella, my sister, I agree. April is a true shero and role model. Just how she moves, how she lives her, excuse me, her own personal life, right? Not just her professional life. They are aligned. She's so authentic in every arena that you meet her in. So, April, we're going to be doing that goat yoga. We're going to take pictures. We're going to post them on LinkedIn when we do it. And I just thank you for your time, your wisdom, your energy, and your light today, because it is definitely needed. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us on the Quintessence of Leadership. This is Alicia Houston saying thank you, and I'll see you on our next episode. Bye. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Do you have some thoughts, comments, questions as well? Drop them below. I'd love to hear them and actually respond to you as well. Don't forget to hit that little bell that you see, because it'll notify you next time any new opportunities are posted to this channel. So, thank you again, and until next time, remember, continue to build trust to transform, whether it's transforming your community, your home, your business, your workplace. Your voice is required. Looking forward to seeing you then. Bye.